we today? Are we okay? Can you guys see me? We're having a few technical difficulties. Sorry about that. Hopefully the connection's better now. Can you see me and hear me okay? Anyway, we're talking about the royal wedding and we're talking about death-versaries. The anniversary of a loved one. And do you commemorate it, or do you prefer to celebrate your loved one on birthdays, or, either or? So can you see and hear me okay? Let me know. Okay, Dana says way better. Yay! Okay, so we're gonna get back to talking about the royal wedding, and then we're gonna end with death-versaries, because it's the 2nd-year anniversary of my dad's death coming up. I've got mixed feelings about it, but that'll tie in with the royal wedding that we're talking about too. So I'm wondering if you guys saw the royal wedding, if you were into it or not. I had my friend and her 13-year-old daughter come over and spend the night. We had a little pajama party, slumber party, and set our alarms for 2 a.m. We were a few of the hardy souls that got up at 2 a.m. and decided to watch live. And there were a couple things, a couple little, triggers to do with grief. The main one just being the huge loss that you could imagine Harry feeling of not having his mom there. All I could think of was Princess Diana, or Lady Diana, or Diana, Princess of Wales, I think is her official title at the end of it. And the fact that she wasn't there. And the ways in which they paid tribute to Diana. They played one of her favorite hymns that was played at her funeral. And according to the press, Harry was getting slightly emotional about that. Oh no, Dana says it's bad again. Dana, can you at least hear me? Even though you might not be able to see me, I can move my arms around like a scary pixelated monster. But can you hear me? Oh, balls. I'm so sorry. So they played a favorite hymn of Diana. They also, Meghan had forget-me-nots put in her wedding bouquet, because that was Diana's favorite flower. And hi, Cindy. Well, I'm sorry, you guys, that you can't see me okay. I mean, I love that you can hear me, which is great, but I don't know why. Hi, Patty. I'm sorry for being a pixelated, scary monster. And I even have makeup on. I mean, like, why should I even bother doing my hair or having makeup on if I'm just pixelated and scary? Rawr. Anyway, Dana says I'm a lovely shade of green. It's not easy being green. It's kind of going in and out. I don't understand what I can do or what I can't do. I mean, we tried going again, but we're just going to push through, and it won't be that long. I'll try to make today's shorter so that it's, won't annoy you guys. A family friend of mine, Lisa, I don't know if Lisa federally is going to be joining us, but she says that it annoys her when the picture gets pixelated and she has to tune out. So I don't blame you. I would find it pesky and annoying too. Here's what I don't understand. I go live from my place all the time, and 80% of the time it's clear, and then 20% of the time it's not. I don't know what else I can do. Patty's like, oops. You know what? I think we're just going to have to accept that it's nice modern art. Yes. And it's a good thing to do to, use your imagination. You could do me a favor and imagine just a supermodel's face over the pixelated goodness. We're talking about the royal wedding and the tributes to Diana, maybe grief triggers, deathy triggers. I experienced a little sadness when, I can't remember if it was after the ceremony, but then they showed somebody, kind of tossling their kid's head. And that kind of got to me because it reminded me of my mom and, all that. And I was just like, ah. And also, my mom loved the royal weddings. Cindy says, it's the ghosts. I know, right? I mean, come on, you guys. Spirit, can we please just get through clearly? Come on, y'all. And a couple other ways that, in the royal wedding, Harry and Meghan paid tribute to Diana in several different ways. but then also, which I love, and also it's just part of life and death together, these big events in life, and how we as a society, we as a culture, need to be a little more healthy in the way that we relate and talk about and experience death. And the fact that Harry's mom, Diana, was in the ceremony in a lot of different ways is a beautiful example of how you can pay tribute to your loved ones and feel closer to them on days when they're not around. So I loved that. I loved that after the wedding, Meghan was seen with an aquamarine ring that was Diana's. So I love that, because for me, jewelry, especially because I always wear my mom's ring, jewelry just has that special mojo that is just a direct connection with your peoples. And man, I know that Diana would just be so happy that her son Harry is in love. And the fact that it's such an unconventional marriage, especially for royalty, the fact that Meghan's just a normal, regular person, and actually had her picture taken in front of Buckingham Palace when she was 11, which I love. I think that Diana would have loved her. And the fact that she is able to marry Harry, being a divorcee, being biracial, being an American, that's the biggest sin, people. In an English person's eye, British people's eyes, as if you're American. Just kidding. Sorry, I had to adjust my chair there. I think it wouldn't have been made possible if it weren't for Diana. And I love that because of Diana's rebelliousness, because of her willingness to kind of take the fall in as far as trying to evolve the royal family and kind of bring the royal family out of the dark ages and into a modern era, which was, the 80s and 90s at that time. I mean, Diana was a huge breath of fresh air. The fact that she did transform the royal family paved the way for her son to marry the love of his life. I mean, you can't get any more beautiful than that. I love that. And then it's tradition for royal brides to place their bouquet on the little tomb of the unknown warrior at Westminster Abbey. And it started with Queen Elizabeth. And so I love that they're paying tribute to an unknown warrior. Again, something to do, with death. And then the fact that they donated their wedding flowers and all the different bouquets to St. Joseph's Hospice in London. And I shared the video on the Good to Go Facebook page, and how lovely that the volunteers and the people that worked at the hospice were just saying everything looks and smells gorgeous in here. And every May I go up to the main drag where Staples, it's like an Office Depot or like a stationery store for anybody who doesn't know what Staples is, and they grow jasmine. It's almost like half of a city block because Staples is huge. And I just go and steal it. I just go with my scissors and a bag, and I cut a bunch of little sprigs of jasmine, and then I place them in the little vases all over the apartment, all over where I live, and it smells delish. So I can only imagine how the St. Joseph's Hospice must smell. It must be just so springy and gorgeous. So I love that they were thinking of others and of hospice in particular. And did you know that before Diana died, she actually wanted to open up a bunch of hospices for children around the world? I mean, how beautiful is that? I wish she would have been able to do that. Hi, Meredith. She says, yes, she was, and did a beautiful job with her son. I know. And I love how they donated the flowers to the hospice patients. Me too. I love that. And there was initially, when we were watching the ceremony, there was an empty seat next to, I believe it was Prince William. Prince William was sitting next to Prince Charles, and they were saying on Twitter that it was an empty seat for Diana, which would have been beautiful and a huge, beautiful tribute, but actually it's not. It's just, I guess it's just royal protocol to leave an empty seat for the Queen, even though the Queen wasn't sitting there. I don't know. It's weird. But but yeah, so I mean, I've loved. It's bittersweet, like all beautiful moments after our loved ones go. You know, all I could think of is while William was sitting there with Harry is that they were probably thinking, "Man, I wish Mom was here," or "I feel Mom in the room." You know, I really think that she would have been so proud and so happy to be there, and she should be proud. You know, it was all down to her hard work that this could even happen, I believe. So it was beautiful. It was a beautiful day. And, you know, it doesn't suck when 1.2 billion people all over the world are tuning into something and focusing on something that is positive and that has to do with love. And I loved the bishop from Chicago shaking it up and shocking all of the Brits with his, you know, enthusiastic, or as the British commentators kept calling it, forceful reading. But he was just bringing the charisma, the good old American charisma, which I loved. It was so much fun. Yes, Patty says they left the seat empty to the Queen, who was sitting behind, had a clear view. Was it because she had a clear view? I thought it was just, I thought I read that just royal protocol was that you just have an empty seat. But I suppose, you know, it would have been a real pisser. You know, let's just say if I would have sat there with a huge deli tray on my head, like the meme of Camilla's hat. And the Queen's like, yo, down in front. But it was beautiful. And I thought it was a little profound, Megan's mom just sitting by herself, just so quiet and full of grace and, you know, far away from home and probably just looking around at all the, you know, pomp and pageantry and just thinking, what? How did my little girl get here? And how am I here? I'm related to the Queen of England. It's just, it's crazy. But anyway, and I did feel bad for Megan, the fact that her dad wasn't able to be there, but I think it's best. I think it's best. Brought a smile to my face. He was great and funny. Love it. Yeah, I know. The bishop was a hoot, wasn't he? I loved him. And then the Archbishop of Canterbury was just like, you're hilarious. I saw an interview with both of them at the after the ceremony, and I think the Archbishop of Canterbury, I think that's who it was, but he was just kind of like, wow, this guy's awesome, which was adorable. So now we're talking from the royal wedding, easing into death-versaries. Now I posted earlier what we're going to talk about today about, do you commemorate or slash celebrate? And when I say celebrate, I don't mean, yay, that person's dead, isn't it great? Although some people may feel that way about their loved ones. I'm just talking about, you know, commemorating it and then, you know, celebrating their life, not celebrating the fact that they're dead. What do you guys do? I mean, it's inevitable. I mean, you think about the death-versaries and then you think about their birthdays and then holidays and every day that ends in Y. So it's just one of those things where, you know, it's coming up for me this weekend. Ironically, Memorial Day weekend is you know, my dad passed away on Memorial Day, or over Memorial Day weekend on a Saturday 2 years ago. So it's Memorial Day, you know, this year. That's the anniversary, May 28th. And, you know, it's intense, you know. I mean, the first year you kind of are relieved in a way to kind of get through it, all the firsts, you know, your first birthday, your first Christmas, your first you know, their first birthday, their first death day, you know, all of these firsts. And then you've got the second year, and for some reason I thought after my mom passed away that the second year would be easier, but I found that the second year was harder. So I wanted to know, what do you guys think? Was the first year harder for you? Was the second year harder? Is it harder down the line? I mean, I know grief is just something that you live with and you evolve through. It's never gone. Your heart's always a little bit broken, but I'm still feeling like my heart's a little bit broken. It kind of almost feels like the second year is when it feels real. And that's intense. And I feel like with grief, it's so hard for people who are grieving and their peer group around them isn't grieving. And I don't know if you guys feel this way, but I definitely found that I've tended to kind of isolate myself, even though all of the articles you read are don't isolate yourself. Talk to your friends, try to express what you need and let them help you and things like that. But, I isolate myself because you just feel so misunderstood, and the grief is so intense. It just feels unrelatable. Like if I bring this up, they're not going to relate to me at all because they haven't in the past. And so then I just don't say anything, because then you feel kind of not embarrassed, but kind of like, well, it's been 2 years. I should be happier, or I shouldn't be upset, and that's bullshit, because, you feel how you feel. I had my dad in my life for, 47 years. And to be able to just be like, oh, well, no big deal, NBD after 2 years. I mean, the first year was a blur. And I know I did stuff, and I know I did fun stuff the year after my dad died, because I definitely knew that self-care was important. So I had to focus on things that brought me joy. So I did those things. But I kind of look back on it, and I was only kind of half there. It just feels very groggy. Meredith says, I think for my mom, I will release balloons in the air. I know it's going to be hard for you. Yeah. I mean, balloons is sweet, any kind of way. When my mom passed away, I think I showed you guys the little candles that I had made with their handwriting. And after my dad passed away, I got votives as well. And that's his signature, and a little heart. And then I usually just light it, and then I have a little picture that was on Dad's mantle since 1987. So I thought I would share that with you guys. This is when we were in Maine. I worked at a summer camp in Maine, and we hiked this little mountain called Jockey Cap. And it was always one of my favorite pictures, and one of Dad's favorite pictures, which I love. Look at us. I don't know if I'd be able to hike it today, but so I love that picture because it was on my dad's mantle. Cindy says, it's difficult on special holidays. Yeah. Even today with my son gone since 1980, I still grieve from every day. Oh, I bet you do, Cindy. I'm so sorry. And there's still a hole in every family event. With mom and dad gone, our holidays are so different. And the vacancy of mom and dad will forever be heartbreaking. I know, it is heartbreaking. And that's, I had a journalist. I've been doing a lot of press for Good to Go recently. Oh, which we'll talk about. I'm going to make a note because I have a little announcement to make at the end of what we're talking about. I had a journalist ask me, what's it like to lose your whole family within 4 years? And I'm just like, what the hell do you think it's like? And the only answer I could think of was, it's like, I feel like Sandra Bullock in Gravity. I just feel like space woman floating in space, and you feel untethered. But on the positive side, because there's positive and negative to everything, in that untethering, you can find freedom as well. I don't have to worry about my dad anymore. I used to worry about him all the time. Meredith says, I like the personalized candle. Can you give us a website to order? Yes, I can maybe do that. That might take some work, but I will do some investigating, and then I'll post it. I'll post the link on the Good to Go Facebook page, but it's going to take some rooting around, because obviously my dad died unexpectedly. We had made all of these amazing, fun summer plans because I was going to Dayton, Ohio anyway, to house sit for my friend who was going to Europe. And it just so happened that Dad got sick and passed away while I was already in Dayton, which is just crazy. So obviously, because everything was down to me and to organize it, even though he was good to go, and even though I had all of his details in his paperwork, his Good to Go paperwork, and he even wrote his obituary, which was amazing, it's still a little fuzzy. I don't remember off the top of my head who made the candles, but but yeah, and then I had them made for everybody that came to the life celebration as well. So when anybody who came to the John Voyage party got to have one of these to take home with them. And, you know, a lot of them took pictures of where they put their little John candle. You know, I think it's such a beautiful way to commemorate your loved one, because it's not morbid or creepy, and it's not, you know, the death day or the funeral, or, you know, like old funeral cards used to be. But it's filled with love, and he had such a unique kind of he had such unique handwriting that you know, it's special. But anyway, I'll send you a link. And there's also tons of stuff, we've talked about it before, there's tons of stuff that you can do with the handwriting of your loved ones. If you have a letter or a postcard or anything like that, you can get jewelry made, you can get bracelets made. My friend and I were talking about back to the royal wedding, what would we give Megan if we had to get her a wedding gift? And I said that I would give her a bracelet and a necklace with her name, but the handwriting of her mom and dad. Because, you know, what do you give to a duchess that's got everything? The handwriting stuff, it really means something. And you can get, you know, pillows made, and, you know, all kinds of stuff with handwriting these days. Jewelry, you know, tons of jewelry. So that's an idea. But yeah, back to the grief and stuff. Even on the 2nd year anniversary, you know, it's not just missing. Well, this is what I found. Let me know if you guys can relate. It's not just that you're missing them, you're missing your loved one. But to me, and damn it, I'm not going to cry. Ugh. But to me, it's being loved by your loved one. That is so hard to not have anymore. It's intense. But then you feel it a different way. You feel it in a more cosmic way. And somebody posted earlier, which I love, talking about the death-versaries. They don't call it a death-versary. They call it a heavenly birthday. And I love that. So I look at it now. I'm going to look at it now as Dad's cosmic birthday, when he joined the cosmos, when he became part of everything. But it's still sad when they're not here, and not to be able to reach out and talk to them. It's just hard. And then the 2nd year as well, after somebody goes, it's just that kind of the stone cold alone truth of the unbearable reality of the finality of they're not around physically anymore, you know. Cindy says that was me. Yeah, you know, and Meredith, everybody understands. It's just it's hard. And I remember after my mom died, I said to my dad, I said, do you know that you're the one that loves me the most on the planet right now? And he was just like, what? And I said, you're the one that loves me the most that's left on the planet, you know, because I'm single. And he's just like, what made you think of that? And I was just like, are you kidding me? It's all I'm thinking about. You know, I'm like, my mom's gone, and now you're the one that's left. And then he's gone. So it's just, of course, you go through those natural feelings of like, who's going to love me, you know? And of course, I am loved dearly by my friends. Of course, I feel that, but it's different. It's different than your mom and dad love. But mom and dad love is eternal. And the mom and dad love is what's going to get you through the loss. And it is the amount of hurt that you feel is directly correlated to the amount of love that you gave to that person. Cindy says, my mom was my best ever cheerleader. I know, that makes me tear up. I know. Dang. Meredith says, my mom died 2 days after my birthday, so my birthday will never be the same. I remember that. I mean, that, whew. But in a way, your mom was like, let's hang on. I don't want to die on her birthday and ruin it forever, even though around that time is forever ruined. You know, I can understand. But at the same time, I feel like there's something kind of profound and kind of cosmic that she went out close to the same time that she brought you into this world. I'm having a hot flash now. I'm having a weepy, griefy hot flash. It's getting summery here, you guys. So once the weather gets super hot, I don't have air conditioning. I'm basically going to be going live in 2 coconuts and a thong. So just prepare. Or I'll just get an ice tray out and sit on it for the live session. But yeah, it's just so hard. My mom is my biggest fan. And even my dad, my dad wasn't very emotional. He wasn't very touchy-feely, but after he came to the Good to Go party, he was on board with Good to Go, and he called me and was telling me what an amazing job I did and how he's like, Amy, everybody needs to have this. I'm like, yeah, I know. And then he said, and what did he say? It was so cute. He said, at the Good to Go party, you were talking, everybody was listening to you, and the materials looked really professional. It was just very businesslike. I was like, thanks, Dad. P.S. This is my business. But it was sweet. And I felt, because he was never touchy-feely and never really expressed how he felt in that kind of way. He expressed how he felt in different ways that I understood and we connected with. But I even said to my friends, I was just like, oh my gosh, Dad's totally on board with Good to Go. Like, now I have complete closure. Like, is he gonna die? And he died a year later. It's bananas. Meredith, I'm glad I made you laugh. I'd like to think that you just laughed because it was a funny thing rather than the mental image of me wearing 2 coconuts and a thong. But I love the idea of having a cosmic birthday or a heavenly birthday instead of a death-versary. I think that's kind of a more positive way to look at it. But again, it's just what happens in year 3? It's still tough. Year 4, still tough, still dead, still not here, and you miss that physical connection. I mean, I ended up talking to my dad 3-4 times a day because I work from home. So I made sure I made a lot of time for him because I knew that he didn't really have that many people in his life. And so I wanted to be there for him, even though it was like mind-numbing, boring conversations about medication and his metformin and his doctor visits. I was just like, but I'm glad that he shared those things with me because that's his world. And that's the thing. If you've got elderly parents, if you're lucky enough to be close to your parents and you're lucky enough to have your elderly parents around, that is their world. And maybe it is just doctor appointments and physical ailments and symptoms and this. And I mean, trust me, my dad, once we got into like TMI with medical stuff regarding downtown areas and things, I was like, yeah, Dad, I really, you don't really have to unpack that for me. And he's like, Amy, are you feeling shy? What do you mean? And I'm like, well, no, but I just I don't really want to hear what's going on down there. So, and then he told me anyway, because that's how he was. But upside, when he was in the hospital and the doctors were asking me about him, I knew down to the minute detail what was going on. Dana says, my baby Rose died the day she was born. Grief is so painful. Dana, I'm so sorry for your loss. I know, grief is painful, and it's so effing painful that when my mom died, I was stunned how hard it was. I was just like, how are we allowed as human beings to love so deeply and to love so intensely when we know that it's not forever? Oh, it just hurts. Cindy says, isn't that so hard when you talk to them every day? Yes, you called your mom and dad every day for years. Oh, every day at 4 p.m. Cleared everything, made yourself ready to focus on them solely at 4 every day. I love that. Yes. And to this day, my subconscious says, time to call mom right at 4 o'clock. I know. Wouldn't it be great if you could just pick up the cosmic telephone? Yeah. I mean, I always joke that, after my mom died, I wish that I could call her, not to just talk to her one more time or to say I love her, but to get her friggin' passwords for her online bills for all of her accounts that I couldn't find any information for. I was just like, help me. Of course, this was before I created Good to Go, because I created it after she died to try to prevent others from going through it. But yeah, I just wish we could pick up the cosmic telephone and call our loved ones. I know. especially at 4 p.m. every day. I mean, that's just got to be like rote memory, you know, every day at 4 o'clock. Yeah, it's true. Ugh, people, it's so hard. Grief is so hard. I don't know what I'm going to do on Monday, the death anniversary, the cosmic birthday of my dad. I'll probably, you know, do something that he liked to do, you know, maybe spend some time in nature, or maybe I'll go over to my friend's place and play with their cat, or my friend's place and play with his dogs. My dad was a real animal lover. And just put the message out, I guess. Yeah, it's sad. Womp womp. I'm gonna wrap up instead of sitting here crying. But I've got good news. I'm not gonna cry. I'm going to be excited and good news because hopefully, fingers crossed, there's gonna be a story about Good to Go, and it's gonna run on NPR, National Public Radio. It was supposed to run last weekend, and then I got bumped. It was supposed to be on Sunday's NPR weekend edition for Sunday. I don't know what time that is in your local area, but if you go to npr.org, you can find out when the show is. Or I actually don't know what show it's going to be on, to be honest. It was supposed to be on the Sunday weekend edition last week, but it got bumped for something in the news. So hopefully it was just bumped and not dumped. And hopefully it'll be on this weekend. So thank you. Cindy's like, hugs to you, rejoice. I know, I'm rejoicing. I'm rejoicing and hot flashing at the same time. But yeah, I know. I'm very excited. We had a Good to Go party here at the Rock Pad last week, and right after I went live, and we're gonna, Meredith says, you're doing great, honoring him now. That's gonna make me cry even more, Meredith. Thank you. So yeah, NPR covered the party, and hopefully, I mean, it literally could be on tomorrow. I don't know. I'm just kind of preparing, you know, so if I wake up and see a bunch of emails in my inbox, I know that the piece ran. But of course, I'll share it on the Good to Go Facebook page. And then I'm going to beg you guys to share it with all of your people, because we got to spread the word. Got to spread the word. Not just selfishly for Good to Go, because obviously I want to, you know, be able to continue to make a living, helping people get their advanced planning together. But the most important thing is for people to realize they need to get their advanced planning together. Even if you're not rich, a lot of people think I'm not rich, I don't need to get my advanced planning together. I don't have anything to leave behind. You have a ton of stuff to leave behind, and it could be just crap. It doesn't necessarily have to be of value, but somebody's got to get rid of it. So advanced planning, the message is so important to get out and to talk about while you're young and healthy, to do it, because a person, and I don't know if this will be in the piece or not, but a lovely woman who attended the Good to Go party last week had cancer and said that she was given an advanced healthcare directive pretty much when she was having chemo. So here she is having this, you know, medical procedure done, and she's, you know, kind of thinking of a lot of things. And then now to have to focus on, okay, well, if you're in a coma or if you die and all these things, you know, it's just kind of like, what? I mean, talk about a horrible time and place to do it, which is why I'm trying to talk to people, like, get it done during a party. Dana says, have you ever read Tear Soup? No, I have not. Good children's book about grief. I don't have children, so I don't read a lot of children's books, but I will make a note of that. I'm writing it down now. Tear Soup, which feels like my daily diet when I'm grieving. Tear soup with a side of tear fries, and then just a burger of existential questioning. But anyway, so yes, so NPR, keep an eye out, and of course I will post it, and I would love it if you guys could share it on your pages, because I need to get the word out. You know, people, Good to Go is kind of like an instruction manual. You know, the little advanced death care directive that took me a year to write, that comes in the departure files. it's just a list of instructions for your loved ones. And if something happens to you, your loved ones can go straight to it and then just know your wishes. So anyway, wrapping that up, thanks for tuning in, you guys. And I appreciate all of your comments, Dana and Meredith and Cindy and Patty and everybody. So thank you so much. And I'm sending out so much love to you guys. And I appreciate all the love that you send to me, you know, when I'm thinking about my dad this weekend. And I'm gonna, oh good, somebody's saving Tear Soup on Amazon. Good, I love that. I love this community because you guys help each other. You guys sharing what helps you and sharing what you go through. It makes other people feel less alone. It makes me feel less crazy. And I really, really appreciate you guys. So thank you so much. And if you're watching this after the fact, you know, still comment, still tune in. We'll still check in and see what people are saying. So thanks for tuning in. I'm sending you a big hug to all the grievers and groovers out there, and hope that you're gonna spread some love, spread good vibes, you guys, this week. And I will talk to you next week. Cindy says, "Well, pray for your comfort, rest in the good memories that you have." Thank you so much. I appreciate all the love, and I feel it truly. All right, you guys, take care. Talk to you later next week. Bye.